What's up, you guys? Happy hump day. Hope you're having an awesome week. I hope you're taking full advantage of the meal plan. I've had some questions throughout the past couple of days about what foods to swap out. So I'm going to tell you, if you have a food allergy, please do swap your food out with something that you can eat. For example, if you're allergic to nuts, I'm not going to suggest that you put almonds in your food, okay? So swap out a couple of things. If you're not sure what to swap out, like usually if you need to swap out a fruit for a fruit because maybe you're allergic to pineapple, you have a sensitivity to whatever fruit is on the menu, reach out to me. I can help you. If you have issues with digestion and you don't want to eat a whole lot of whole grains and things like that, again, message me. I totally get it. Our bodies all function differently, and when we hit Ultimate Portion Fix, because all of this is to kind of give you a preview of what Ultimate Portion Fix is, how I help the girls in my boot camp following this meal plan. But in the Ultimate Portion Fix, we give you a huge list to choose from of healthy options for you. That way, if you have food sensitivities, preferences, whatever, you still have a grocery list of items that you get to choose from that are nutrient dense, that are going to help you with weight loss, help you stay full, stay healthy, and do all of the things that you wanted to. That you joined, the reasons you joined this group was because you wanted to learn more about those things. And Ultimate Portion Fix, when you start that with us, is going to definitely go a lot deeper. And I will tell you that we'll have grocery list options in there for you. But in the meantime, just shoot me a message. I'm here for you. So today, what I wanted to talk to you about were carbs. Oh my God, I hear it all the time. I'm cutting carbs. Oh, what are you doing to lose weight? I'm cutting carbs. Or, I don't know if I can join you because I'm afraid that, I've been doing keto and I can't, whatever. I just love bread. That's a big one I hear. I love bread too. Popcorn, pizza, all of these things. I have such a hard time not eating carbs. And then the big one is I have a sweet tooth. Me too. I have a huge sweet tooth. I have a sweet tooth. I like Cokes. I like to drink sodas probably 2 or 3 times a day. I am going to show you what to look for, give you some tips on how to break those sugar cravings, and I am also going to explain to you the difference between the good carbs, the ones that we want to eat, we want to keep in our bodies, that we need, and why we need those, and tell you about how to cut the bad carbs out of your life. And I'm not going to tell you that you're never going to have some of those bad carbs. And I'm going to say, the ones that are processed, because my English is gone. I'm trying to proponiente. I can't remember the word. Proponent of something that's just not sustainable. So I'm going to tell you, sustainability is what I'm going to teach you. If you want to have chips, you're not going to beat yourself up for it because it's not going to become a habit. So here is what I'm going to start with. Is I'm going to compare a few items for you. I'm going to compare some things that we like to buy at the grocery store that make our life a little bit easier, whether it's because it frees up time and we don't have to make it from scratch, or it's because our kids will eat it and that frees up time too and doesn't stress you out as much. So I'm going to compare a few things and show you what's inside those. I'm going to talk about added sugars versus the natural sugars and what you should be looking for when choosing foods. Okay, so let's start in really quick. I am going to dummy proof carbs for you. There's 2 basic types, complex ones and simple carbs. So the ones that you find at the store boxed up in some kind of fancy packaging is a complex carb. Your body has a hard time breaking that up. Simple carbs come from fruit. These little guys. And these little guys get a bad reputation for being full of sugar. But here's the thing, our brain, in order to function properly, it needs the sugar. So have you ever just had a day where you haven't eaten any carbs? Maybe you went on a keto diet or you've been carb cycling and you can't remember anything. Like you're going days and days and you're like, oh my God, I've forgotten my keys 3 different times. I misplaced my phone. I came into this room 10 different times and you can't remember what you were looking for, what you were doing, and you have these brain farts. Essentially, you're having brain farts all the time. That's because your body is probably missing some nutrients. This guy, natural sugars. When you're hyped up or hopped up, whatever you want to say, on added sugars like candy bars, caffeine, those Starbucks, cafe, whatever, sugar bombs, your brain does become more alert, but it's kind of like somebody who's on cocaine. They're hyper alert. And then after a while, you have to have more and more and more of it in order to maintain that alert and awareness. So what you want to do is wean off of those and feed your body these sustainable and slowly released sugars so that your brain functions a whole lot more, and you will gain memory back from that. Like, you'll be able to retain things a lot more than you have been in the past when you start watching which ones of these you put in. So simple sugars are the ones that come from fruits and vegetables. Yep, your vegetables have sugars in them. That's okay. That's perfect. The fruit and vegetables have what's called glucose or fructose, and those are simple sugars. Your body loves those. It can break them down so much easier than the complex sugars that are in oatmeal. And oatmeal is a healthy food, so I want you to know some people are like, well, I'm cutting carbs, and they cut oatmeal out. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what the difference is. The sugars that you find in here, the simple sugars, are a lot better than the sucrose that you find, which is also a simple sugar, in candy, because sucrose in candy isn't paired with anything. So it's not going to keep you full. It's not going to be slowly released into your bloodstream. You ever seen kids eat candy? Yeah, they're bouncing all over the place. That's what happens in your body too. That sugar is bouncing all over the place because it's not attached to other nutrients. And when you're eating it with fruit, it's a slow release of sugar into your bloodstream, which is perfect for your brain. So that way you're not releasing cocaine into your brain, you're releasing slow doses of glucose, and your body's processing it, and it can use it and help maintain a proper blood sugar. So that's a good thing. When you're eating oatmeal, it also has sugars in it. These are complex carbohydrates. They are longer little chains, and the cool thing about those is they keep you fuller longer. Oatmeal, without adding something to it, doesn't taste sweet, but it has a little bit of sugars in there, and the fiber is in there to help you stay fuller longer. So when you pair the oatmeal with this and some protein in your day, you're going to notice that you're going to be fuller longer. You're not going to feel tired midday. You're going to have more energy. That brain fog is going to be gone, and you're going to be like, oh, well, maybe I don't need to go for that strawberry coffee. I don't even know. I don't go to Starbucks. I'd love to say I do. I'm going to say I go to Corporal Ray's, and it's a mocha it's a mocha latte, and that's my thing. All right, I like them because they taste good and they really shoot me up really quick, but then the crash comes later. When you're eating healthy, nutritious food and it's nutrient dense and you're getting a slow release of sugars into your body will actually stop asking you for added sugars. So that's my first tip. Start following a process where you're eating vegetables, you're eating fruit, and you're eating oatmeal or sweet potato or quinoa, whatever kind of complex carb in the morning that isn't processed. Yeah, you'll still have to kind of cook it a little bit. I would even be okay with you eating bread and pita bread and corn tortillas, not flour. And any of those are really awesome options, because they do help with the slow release of energy throughout the day. They're going to keep you fuller longer, and they will keep you from the donuts in the office or the cake, because it's birthday cake every other day. In the conference room, I was a teacher, they always had that stuff. So I am going to tell you that makes your life so much easier, and you don't have to cut out the carbs. The one time that I will suggest carb cycling, and that's just kind of playing with carbs, and I'll show you more about it when you join me in the Ultimate Portion Fix, is when you have to drop weight pretty fast. And when you're carb cycling, you're not just dropping weight, you're dropping a lot of water weight. Some of it is going to be fat, but a lot of it is the water weight, because when you break down what sugar looks like into that chemistry stuff that you want to see, it is attached to some water molecules. Like fruit is full of water, right? We love these. So when you're carb cycling and you're cutting out carbs like that, yes, it'll work pretty quickly, but that's why you also see people gain it all back, because it isn't sustainable. Your brain needs it, so it will start asking you for sugars. And usually the people who are cutting these carbs, and I don't want to just generalize people, but when you cut these carbs, we crave the junk. And so you don't always reach for the healthiest option and say, oh, well, I'm craving sugars, so let me get a piece of fruit. That's usually not what happens. What happens is you are craving sugars, you feel so overwhelmed with this craving that you just, boom, you dive in, you eat everything that's a carb and you overdo it, and you do it for a couple of days because your body's just been so starved out from this glucose that it needs for a lot of functions, by the way. And it just goes berserk, and you end up binge eating, and you end up feeling like shit because you ate all this carbs and you fell off, and then you gain it all back. So that is what I'm going to suggest for you there. Start eating these complex carbs. Eat you some sweet potato, quinoa. Some of the vegetables that I suggest that are really good are butternut squash. I think I have one here. Butternut squash, acorn squash. These guys are they can play both roles if you're really trying to stay away from the grains. That really does help you out. Next thing, added sugars. We already talked about the difference between real sugars from fruit and vegetables, and then there's real sugars from the store that looks like this and you use for baking. But let's talk about the stuff that people should look for when they're looking to buy stuff. And I want you to think about added sugars. All right, I want you to look for added sugars because there are some tricky items in your pantry that you want to look for. Things that make your life easier in a short run, but in the long run, if you're really having some goals that you're trying to hit and you're trying to be healthier and do those kinds of things, you want to cut them out. So this is an example of something that people are like, I love enchiladas, I'm Mexican, I love enchiladas, I want to eat them. Hello, this chili sauce is okay, because when you want to look at the back, you're gonna look at a couple of things. It's okay in the sense of you want to have it once, cool. Where you start to have problems is when you start to add that cream of mushroom and all that cream cheese, and then you load it with cheese, and then you don't pair it with you pair it with a bunch of cheese, and you don't put any protein on it, and if you do, it's usually fried up, right? There's a healthy way to make enchiladas. So when you're looking at the labels, you want to look at the back and look for added sugars. This is a good brand for me. It is a little high in the sodium, but I usually water it down, and it only has 1 gram of total sugars, and it's less than a gram of added sugars. So this is a good thing. You want to look for things that have less than 5 grams of sugar and also provide some fiber. The thing about this, it doesn't provide any fiber, 0. When you're looking for things at the store, usually in the aisles, you're picking up a carbohydrate, you're picking up some kind of carb, and that's how I would classify anything in the middle aisles. It's probably a carb, rare thing, or just a filler food, because it doesn't really serve a purpose like this bad boy, other than to appease your taste buds. And I did buy these on purpose to show them to you. Not this, but this I did. DeMarcus was extremely happy because, oh, he loves this stuff. But it's not that great for you. It's straight up sugar. It's like taking this, where did I put it? It's like taking a spoon and digging out some sugar from there and just feeding it to your kids, because it doesn't really provide a whole lot of nutrients in here. So 40 calories, sugars, it's 10 grams of sugar, 10 grams of sugar. And that is insane. It doesn't even have anything to balance out the sugar. So you're putting sugar on waffles or toast, so straight up sugar onto carbs, and it's not that great. So I will say you want to make sure that you're looking at what's in the ingredient list. You want to keep your ingredient list short. So if it has more than 10 ingredients, put it back on the shelf. If you can't sound out the ingredients or pronounce them, put it back too. You don't want that in your life. This spaghetti sauce, believe it or not, you add sugar to spaghetti sauce. I've made spaghetti sauce from scratch. And I'm going to tell you, I have a fabulous recipe I am going to share with you, because even my favorite, the simple, basic, traditional ragu sauce, there are other brands that have more sugar in there, by the way, still has quite a bit of added sugars. So 8 grams of sugar in spaghetti sauce. And you're like, what? It's not even sweet. But they do add sugar. They add it in as molasses or straight up brown sugar. I've seen several recipes that have both. So you want to look at the back and read what's in there. Tomato sauce puree. Probably the 4th item on there after salt is sugar. Soybean oil, which is also not good for you. Sugar, dehydrated onions. So this is still on the better end of good. And I like to, like I said, I pick stuff that I usually do grab anyway. DeMarcus, delete this. I don't mind adding this because it's still a very short list and it makes my life easier. But when I'm trying to get results, I don't need it. I will make my own, and I'm going to share that recipe with you guys later. In the group, it'll be something that you can save and keep. And you want to look for things that are going to be high in fiber, all right? I talked about that a little bit. Now you're gonna say, oh, Rachel, you have a can of tomatoes there. How are these gonna have sugars? I told you, vegetables have sugars. Technically, tomato is a fruit, but we won't get there. This has 3 grams of sugar and 1 gram of fiber in there. So that's a pretty good ratio. Seeing as to how it's just a little bit of tomatoes, you're not going to, and it's per serving size, so about half a cup. So that's actually pretty good. I do have some oatmeal that I will go and get because I thought I pulled it out. Oh, I'll just look at the bread. I do choose a nicer bread because I don't eat as much of it. And I promise I will wrap up after this bread because I know it is late. But same thing. Here is 1 slice of bread. I will get 3 grams of sugar. I get protein. Hello. This is going to help me stay fuller now because I've got protein at 4 grams. The sugars are at 3 grams, but I still have 1 gram of fiber to hold me down. So it's pretty good there. And it's got all these other fancy little vitamins added to it. Now, when you're looking for breads and you look at these, there are some other brands that are a whole lot, they do get expensive, but they are worth it because you're not going to eat them all. Ezekiel bread is also very good. You're not going to be eating as much bread as you think you are, so don't stress out if you're like, oh my god, I'm going to pay $4 for bread. This will last me, and it doesn't spoil or mold that quickly because I keep it in my bread box, and for some reason it just keeps a little bit better. It preserves better when it's not just made out of yeasty white flour and everything else. So it actually lasts longer. I don't eat as much of it. It keeps me fuller longer, and I don't feel like I'm craving more bread. I used to crave bread, the Hawaiian bread specifically. If you've never eaten that bread, I don't know what's going on with you. But the Hawaiian bread, especially around Christmas time, the little Hawaiian rolls, I could eat those all day and they're delicious. But not good for you, especially not when you have goals, especially if you're diabetic. You don't want those either. I have a diabetic in my house, so I've had to learn a lot of this stuff. And I've got a background in nursing, and I've got a background in nutrition. I've been doing a lot of learning over the years. So when I tell you you can lose weight and you can have your carbs, kind of like have your cake and eat it too, I promise you it's true. The first thing you have to do is accept that you're going to make a commitment to doing something for yourself and learn about it. So that's what you're doing here, and I'm extremely proud of you for being here, and I cannot wait for you to continue on with this in the Ultimate Portion Fix. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk to you a lot about creating new habits and a couple of things that are going to help you create new habits so that you turn this into a lifestyle, so that you continue on with this and have some extra accountability, and of course so we can keep each other company, because who doesn't want to hang out? Anyway, I pretty much had that set up for you. I will recap for you one more time. Good sugars versus bad sugars. anything that's an added sugar, avoid it, especially of goals. Avoid it as much as you possibly can. Once you get the hang of things, you'll learn how to balance it in. But I also don't want you to restrict all carbs completely. Do not do that to yourself. It will catch you and it will make you feel deprived. And then you'll probably end up like I did, emotionally distraught, because it does take a toll on you when you don't have sugars feeding your brain and your body is demanding sugar. And you will binge, and then you have a disordered eating or binge eating issue and emotional eating issues all together, compounding, making you feel like shit. So the best way to do this is make sure that you have plenty of vegetables first, because they are quick for your body to break down. Vegetables, fruits, and protein at your meals. When you have your carbs, have them at the beginning of the day so that your brain is functioning at its best and you don't feel like reaching for that candy in the vending machine, the donuts in the office, or getting that birthday cake at lunch. You will feel strong and confident that you don't even want that cake because it's not even that good anyway. So pair your fruits and vegetables with other things so that they keep you fuller longer. If you're eating something simple like blueberries, you pair it with an oatmeal so that you have that fiber to back it up, and literally, right? And have you fuller longer so that you're also not having those sugar cravings. Okay, check in the food labels, make sure that you have protein, twice as much protein in there as you do sugars. There are some protein bars out there that they have a lot of protein, but then you look at the sugar content, it's twice as much sugar too. Because when you have that much protein in there, you got to do something to mask the taste. So read the labels, look for something that's going to be high in fiber, high in protein, and low in added sugars. All right, you guys, I hope you have had an awesome time with us so far, and I can't wait to see you day 4 and day 5 on Friday. We are really crushing it. So I'll talk to you guys later.